talk about MVPs of All-Star games past. You got guys like Michael and Magic and Charles Barkley and Bill Russell and you name it. But think back to the year 1966 and the name Adrian Smith. Folks, this was something special. Jim Huber tells the story.
He has been a banker in Cincinnati for 31 years now, married to the same woman, lived in the same house. But when Adrian Smith goes to his garage and begins to lift off this cover, a wonderful chapter of his life comes streaming back. For one night, you see, Adrian Smith of the Cincinnati Royals was the most luminous star in the NBA. This car given not to Wilt or Russell, to West or Oscar, to the quiet kid from Kentucky wearing number 10. A trophy and a car is the most valuable player, one of the greatest surprises in NBA All-Star history.
Yeah, I remember the game. He had a real good game. If I remember correctly, the game was in Cincinnati. And he was playing for Cincinnati. And so he had this outstanding game. I remember that very clearly.
He could really shoot the ball. Most nervous guy I've ever seen in my life. But it was a great day for him and obviously a great day for the fans of Cincinnati.
It was one of those nights where nothing goes wrong, and the basket seems like it's 10 feet in diameter. I'm sure that's how he felt that evening, because everything he threw up went in, and it was spectacular.
Well, I shot 9 for 18 and had 6 out of 6 from the free throw line, and I think I had 6 or 8 rebounds, which I was really proud of, and it just, everything fell in place.
It's been over 30 years since the Royals last played here at the old Gardens of Cincinnati, even longer than that for Adrian Smith. But his finest moment here must seem like just yesterday, when he stunned not only both All-Star teams and the adoring Garden, but the legendary coach who just happened to add him to the roster.
I think I had to pick a guard, and he always impressed me as being a hard worker, quick, and, you know, he won't hurt you. So when the game started, I had to give him some minutes.
I was a nervous wreck. And Russell come out and set a pick for me, and I think I missed the basket about 3 feet. And then the next shot, I banked it from the left side, and somebody knocked me on the floor. And I guess everything just sort of left me.
They started playing real good. They started hitting, they started playing good. So I said to myself, wouldn't this be nice if this kid could win the MVP ahead of all the so-called superstars? So I kept him in.
And then, as a result, you know, I had a pretty good game.
Pretty good. But that night was simply the exclamation point to a basketball career spawned on a tobacco farm. No electricity, no running water, nothing but a budding dream. The boy known as Odie learned the game of basketball much as many Kentuckians did back a half-century ago. Nailed a hoop to the family barn, rolled 6, 7, 8, 9 socks into a ball. Of course, it was tough dribbling that way, but he wasn't known for putting the ball on the floor in his career. It was his shooting eye which kept him in the NBA for a decade. It was that shooting that took him to Northeast Community College in Mississippi. That shooting that earned him a spot with the NCAA champion Kentucky Wildcats in 1958. That shooting which landed him on the 1960 Olympic team, which won the gold in Rome. And that shooting that finally allowed him to follow his fellow Olympians, Oscar Robertson and Jerry Lucas, to the Royals.
Me going to the NBA, a kid from down where I was from, I thought it would be the greatest thing in the world. And I never will forget, my first contract was for $10,000 a year, and I thought, gee, boy, that's a lot of money. And so I signed a 2-year contract.
He was the first one on the court and the last one to leave, and worked hard on the shooting, and was very proud of his shooting, and had a right to be. He was a good shooter.
And he was a good scorer. I mean, he was as good a shooter as I've ever seen.
There are not that many players know how to play with a superstar, and he knew how to play with Oscar.
Adrian Smith played in 719 games during his 10-year pro career, but only one All-Star game. When the weather is right, and he does take that tarp off the still sparkling 1966 Galaxy convertible and put another mile or two on its hardly moving odometer, he shines just as brightly as it. For one night, as the planets aligned perfectly, he was better than the best.
My goal was to make the All-Star team one time in my career, and then this particular year, Red chose me, and I was just ecstatic. If I played 1 minute, I'd been satisfied.
He has the car, and he's so proud of that car, and that's what makes him such a special person. He's just so elated with the fact that he has a little place in history.